LA, but I'm from Bronx, New York. I want to be the Wonder Woman of funny self-help, inspire and encourage women all over the world, showing them how to find the funny in their flaws.
Jackie Fabulous is a gut-busting writer, producer, speaker, and headlining comedian who uses comedy to simultaneously entertain, encourage, and empower audiences. More than just a funny lady, she is on a mission to inspire and empower women all over the world to find the funny in their flaws. When Jackie is not on tour, you will find her giving amazing keynote speeches and breakout sessions at corporate events and conferences. A lawyer in her past life, she understands the plight of the working woman. Her diverse style of comedy has allowed her to work with comedy legends like Roseanne Barr and Wanda Sykes, and she's been on the Oprah Winfrey Network, NBC, CBS, Fox, and more.
Jackie, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting for a Monday or whatever day it is.
So fun to finally meet you in person. I had Jackie in one of my coaching groups that was all about momentum and trying to snowball growth. And during that time, we kind of figured out that you wanted to get your book done and you wanted to change your brand, which is the goal we're going to focus on. So let's go back. You were a lawyer. Now you're a full-time stand-up comedian. How did that happen?
When I moved to California 17 years ago, it was to go to law school. I realized that it wasn't Law and Order. I really did think it was cute little tight sexy suits and the jury and being in a courtroom and being funny and witty, and it rarely ever gets to the actual courtroom. You know, it's all paperwork and cubicles and offices and long hours, good money, but I was dying inside. Yeah. So I took a comedy writing class after work for fun, just because my 8-hour day was done, but I was still wired with energy.
Yeah.
Took the class, I realized that I was having a good time, and it was hard because, you know, talking in public, and had my first show in 2005 at the Hollywood Improv. And just part of, like, you know, you do the class and you have like a recital at the end. So I did my show and I did well. And I did well in the fact that I'm like, I actually found my skill. I have a 17-page resume of crap, and I actually figured out what I can actually do without much effort. Yeah. And all of my friends and my teachers were like, I think you might be done. You might want to stick with it. So until 2010, I kept a 9-to-5 job and kept doing stand-up at night, driving for 100 miles per day on my car. To, you know, for free shows. That's how I knew. I'm like, I'm doing this for no money. So clearly I'm either clinically insane or I found that I have a skill.
Yeah.
And I kept doing it. And then I realized, okay, well, when I had to leave my last job, and by had to leave, I mean I got fired. And then I realized, okay, well, unemployment will help me while I figure this out. And I haven't had a 9-to-5 since 2010 because I've been, you know, I stand-up comedy, got an agent, became an actor, and now all entertainment, all instability. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. I mean, you're kind of living the dream to be a full-time entertainer. That's something in itself that you can teach us so much. So go back, like, when did you transition from free gigs to paid gigs? Because I think that's a lot of things, like entertainers and speakers. It seems like I'm going to have to do this for free forever.
They say that you can label yourself a professional comedian when you get your first payment. And I got my first $20 payment for some gig in Orange County. I would say I started doing this in 2004, 2005. So I would say like in 2006, because I was doing it after work for free drinks, hanging out with all men after work. So it was a joke. I was having a good time as a hobby. And then I started doing paid shows at the Improv, which is like the most popular club in the country. And then when I got my 25, 50, I would probably say between 2006, 2008, I was getting paid, but I still had a daytime job. But you start off, they allow you to do 5 minutes, then they allow you to do 10 minutes, then you become what they call a feature, where you do 20 minutes, and then a half an hour. And then it takes like almost 10 years to be able to say, okay, now I can do 45 to an hour. So I would think when you become a feature, you make your living kind of supplemented with other things. But then I became a paid comedian, I would say, after doing it for about 3 or 4 years. Gotcha.
And so after you became a feature, is that when agents started reaching out to you? Did you reach out to an agent? How did that work?
My girlfriend referred me to her agent. She's like, well, you have a very like suburban mom look about you, and you can book commercials. So she
Okay.
sent me to her commercial agent. I met with her, and they see a single woman who can afford to go out on auditions every day. They're like, sure, we'll sign you, whatever. So, and I remember the day I got fired from Caltech, I booked my first commercial.
Wow.
I felt like that was Jesus, like, see, just trust me.
Wow. Yeah.
I got referred, and that's how I got signed to my first commercial agent.
Now that sounds like crazy great. Is that normal how much auditioning is there versus actual gigs booked?
Woo, girl. Thousands.
It's a lot, right?
I would say I go on double-digit amounts of auditions per year, and I might book 4.
Wow.
And this is including commercials and TV shows and doing stand-up comedy on television. So I would say you're more likely to book commercials because commercials, as you see, they have to fill up all the time on the internet, on cable, on national television. So you're more likely to book more of those if you have a look that is relatable to the world. And I have a lot of friends who the majority of their salary comes from commercial bookings. So I would say I have booked probably double digits in commercials in the last 10 years. And but none of them have been the ones that they call the money makers, because you can do a lot of them and they pay you for your day. They're like, thank you, you were fantastic, please go away. And then you can get paid for the ones where every time it airs, you get paid. And those are the ones that my friends have put their kids through school, they buy homes. So it really depends on whether you want to be a commercial actor, a television movie actor, a comedic actor, or you just like, look, I'm an actor. Whatever the hell you tell me to do and book me on, I will go. That's me. Yeah.
So that's really great. So now maybe, and like me, I deal with a lot of rejection from the show. Like I'm trying to book people, and I also go out on auditions, and I also get contacted every so often, like pitched for a pilot as a host and all of that, so much rejection, just rejection all day.
All day.
And that's what you deal with too. So what's your advice to people on overcoming rejection or getting over that fear and going on auditions anyway? What do you say about that?
I got rejected 3 times before this call started.
I believe you. Exactly.
Okay, I get emails that say, we think you are snuggable and lovable and hilarious and beautiful, but no thank you.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. And you cannot care. Like I was reading Amy Poehler's book, and she's like, ambivalence is the key to doing this, meaning you can go on the audition, give them everything you have, and then as soon as you walk out, forget you ever had the audition. So that's the key, is like, say yes to all of the auditions if you have time. Go to all of them. When you get in your car, try your best to just Jedi mind trick or Matrix, memory stick or whatever you got to do. Not Matrix, Men in Black memory stick, to forget about it. And the advice I give is just, you got to keep going. Because you know what? The job is auditioning. Like your job is to go on auditions, to answer those phone calls that they want to meet with you for God knows what, to go on all these pilot interviews, to have conference calls. I'm always getting asked to come to have coffee with someone with some cockamamie idea because they like me. And I never hear from them again. But during the meeting, you would think you're the next Oprah.
Yep.
And the key is go to all of them, because like you said in one of your interviews with Kathy Griffin, keep all the pots in the fire, because one of them will, actually catch on fire or cook or whatever the terminology is. So my advice is go to everything. Say yes to whatever you can, granted that you don't financially have any hardship by saying yes. And something will happen because it's a numbers game, it's sales. You go to 10 meetings, maybe 1 might pay a cell phone bill. You just have no idea.
Yeah, which, like you said, means you have to go. Or for me, it means I have to keep sending out pitches, or I have to keep going to auditions or whatever. So, okay, great advice. So what's your advice for kind of, at some point you transition to the next level, you become a feature, and then you can start touring and you're going around to all different kinds of clubs. And I think a lot of people, work so hard and never level up. And so other than putting in the hours, because obviously it just takes time too, but other than that, what's your advice for someone who seems to be kind of stuck at like entry level?
You've got to find mentors, find people that you admire. Like I would say 97% of my career is based on word of mouth and referrals. And I get people who have been doing it 10 times as long as I have, who I care about, who care about me, who answer my calls more likely and answer my texts. And they take me out on the road with them. And the key is to do so well where you're almost as good as them, if not better, so that the people who handle the booking and invite you to their clubs say, you know what, you were great. Come back yourself for 6 months and do the full-time headlining 45-minute spot. I would say don't rely on all of your upgrading to be based on what you do for yourself. You've got to ask for help. You got to get a mentor. You got to trust in someone that you know cares about your well-being and your progress. And, grab somebody's coattail. There's nothing wrong with grabbing coattails. You just can't stay under coattails.
Yeah.
And you can, I've grabbed many a coattail, and if they love me, they'll be like, all right, you know what? Get the hell off my coattails. It's time to figure it out.
Yeah, they kind of shove you out of the nest.
Yeah, they do. They're like, I've helped you enough. Now go figure this out. How
does that work at the beginning when you go in for the ask on that? Like maybe you're friends and then you go in and say, hey, can you help me? Or how does that happen at the beginning when you reach out and get a mentor?
I would say you have to be a stalker. Like social media gets a lot of bad press. Social media is fantastic. To me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, to me, that's all email. I call it all my email. Because there's nobody I can't find. I mean, celebrities, if I talk to them enough, casually, like, hey, I loved your show last night, and they tweet back, thank you. And they follow me because they like my profile, or I seem legit like I work. Then if they follow you and you follow them, you can send them a direct message. And I've gotten jobs that way. I've gotten referrals. I did Access Hollywood Live 4 times because I tweeted Billy Bush when he was on the show. And I said, Billy, I am a comedian. I'm hysterical. I want to be on your panel. His producer emailed me literally the same week, and that's how I got on air to do it. So I would say don't be a real stalker because you'll go to jail.
Right.
But be a professional business stalker, and don't be afraid to research people and their careers and even their representatives. Like they might have an agent or manager who's looking for someone who's not like their client. They want someone who is bookable and who can make the money. You got to be online a lot. And I don't mean online, look at Instagram, pictures of puppies. I mean, like you got to look through people's profiles and see what they do, where they live, go to their shows. Like I still do it. I look on other fellow comedians that are bigger than me, their schedules or their websites to see if they're on a show close to me. And I will go to a show. I can probably tell the owner of the club, I'm a comedian, they'll let me in free. And then I'll sneak back to the green room to be like, hey, I'm a big fan, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes they appreciate the tenacity. They're like, oh, this she's not playing around. And you get respect for really trying to break into somebody's inner circle most of the time. Other times, security will, grab you by the neck and put you in a headlock.
So now you feel like you need to transition from doing these comedy gig after comedy gig after comedy gig. So talk about why and what your vision is for the next step for you.
The next step for me, the only reason why I've been having this nagging feeling in my side is because of, honestly, doing well and having a certain type of fan base after the shows kind of grab me and pull me aside and be like, oh my God, I can so relate to what you were talking about. I feel like you and me are the same, blah, blah, blah. And it's women. And I feel like there's a path that every comedian is expected to be on. You become an opener, a feature, a headliner, and then you travel the country, Albuquerque, New Mexico, the back of Alabama. And that's okay, but you don't have to follow the route everyone before you has followed. So I'm like, if I'm a funny person and I want to motivate women to laugh when they probably feel like complaining, then why can't I make my comedy career go in the direction of speaking to them, but still doing it in a show-like fashion with jokes? And I feel like the insecurity for me comes from, this is not what comics always do. Like a few of them do this, but I'm like, but it's not the traditional go away every weekend, Thursday through Monday, and tell jokes and come home. Because to me, the telling jokes and coming home, I was feeling empty inside. I was feeling like I left them with nothing. They laugh. They may remember me, but there's no brand to follow. There's no book. There's no blog they can read about my experience that weekend, how I helped someone. It's always, stand-up comedy is kind of like a one-night stand that lasts for 6 days, 6 nights, where you have a great time, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I want to be a keynote comedic speaker because it doesn't leave the comedy, because I'm always going to be funny, even when it annoys people. And I need to feel like the women who are literally like in my audiences with tissues crying because they're like, I didn't know somebody else had this happen to them. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, is she really going to discuss that in front of a room full of people? But there's so many people who do motivational speaking and love them. I'm a fan. I love them all, but they don't make me laugh. Yeah. I cry a lot, but there's not a whole lot of funny.
Yep.
So I'm like, why can't I do that? Why not me?
Okay, so now you're going to focus on your flaws are fabulous message. And you've got most of your book written or pretty much done, and you just kind of let it sit, probably out of fear, right? Just about it. But your website is up, and there really wouldn't be that many tweaks to adding your book to your website and changing your website to be from more like a comedian to a speaker.
Yes.
So I really think you're pretty close. How long do you think before you can get your book up on Amazon and printed copies? Like 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
I would say the full 8 weeks. Let's just go for it. I would say I would need the full 8 weeks.
Well, I'm excited to watch you pursue this goal, and I know you're going to do it because you're so close anyway. Now it's just kind of like putting the bow on it and publishing, which is what so many people have trouble once we get close to the finish line. Yeah. We get scared, things get real, and we just kind of start stalling. So now I'm glad to be like a kick in your rear to get this done. And thank you for sharing just your wisdom and advice with us and your story, and good luck.
Thank you.
Let's see how they did. But before we do that, I want to remind you that you could be featured on the show. All you have to do is sign up at thepursuit.tv/join. That's where you join Pursuit Nation, and then you use the hashtag MyPursuit to share your goal, and people who are engaging with the show, cheering on their favorite contestants, crushing their goals, and doing amazing or interesting different type of things. Those are the people I want to feature on this channel. So join Pursuit Nation, use the hashtag MyPursuit, and hopefully I'll be talking to you soon about having your story here on The Pursuit in the Trenches. To recap, Jackie's goal is to finish and self-publish her first book, and to relaunch her personal brand and website as a public speaker and build her Your Flaws Are Fabulous message. Let's watch her vlog to see how she did.
On set, looking at me. Just finished shooting a sketch. Well, just saying. And the outfit, it was my idea. I'm wearing it home. 80s. Because I don't see why these outfits have gone out of style. Go to the gym, feeling happy and colorful. Be the sun. You are the sun. Here we are, Pasadena Ice House, pulling up to the spot labeled Headliner. Ice House Headliner parking. This is called, oops, been drinking. This is called hard work to be allowed to park here. Jackie Fabulous here, Saturday afternoon photo shoot in my Iyanla Vanzant, Melissa McCarthy floral duster. The photographer's laughing, but it really is Melissa McCarthy because I like her clothes. And here he is. His name is, where is he at?
Just Ray.
Just Ray. Where's your face? Step out so we can see you. And he's helping me out because when you're not, a rich person, you ask your friends for charity. And he said yes. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Well, supposed to record the journey, right? The hustle. At 4 a.m. this morning, my father passed away. 81 years old, I think. Complications from Parkinson's. I've never had a death in my life of this magnitude. Nothing. And I'm going home to New York. I live in LA to see my mother because they were married for, I think, 50 years. And what's funny is that I don't feel like I want to take a break or I don't want to work or think about it. Now I'm like, the hustle about me getting Your Flaws Are Fabulous off the ground and starting a speaking tour and publishing my book and getting more financially secure so I could spend more time in my hometown of New York with my mom. I feel motivated. Depressed and sad, crying a lot, but motivated.
Even in the midst of death, knowing that that which God has promised us will come to fruition. Let us pray.
Next week, see if Jackie reached her goal, but now let's catch up with last week's contestant, Amanda Smith, who wanted to make 6 figures in Q2 from her online gardening informational business.
Amanda, it's go time. Your goal was to get 6 figures by the end of Q2, which was the end of June, which was a few weeks ago. Did you do it?
No. Not even close.
Real life. That's what this show is all about. So tell us what you did accomplish and what you learned. What were some of the things that you figured out in that process?
Oh man, so many things I learned. So I did a launch, my first course launch, and I had dreams of grandeur, of course, because my first launch went so well, and I earned, $19,100 with that in the first quarter. And I thought, okay, so I've got 5,000 people on my list, and it's going to go really well. And if I get 1% to 2% of those people, then I should make between $20,000 and $40,000. No, I got 6 people. So
out of that list that already loved you.
That 5,000 people list, yes. And what I learned was that gardeners don't want to do anything but garden in the summertime. Don't sell to gardeners in the summertime. And of course, that only applies to the Northern Hemisphere. But then in the Southern Hemisphere, they're just getting into winter. So they're just getting over being in their gardens. So come to find out, which I kind of knew going into it, and it was one of my fears going into it, was that it's the wrong time of the year. And they came back and told me, because I did a survey afterward, they came back and they told me, bad timing for the majority, but also it's not exactly what they wanted. I gave them a design course, and one of the modules within the design course was what they wanted, which was the soils education. And so now I know I can pluck that one module out of this humongous course and give that to them and see how it goes.
Part of this was you kind of worrying about leaving your corporate job. Have you guys had to make any lifestyle changes or made any huge changes yet? Or did you make enough to kind of keep things the same right now?
I had some affiliate earnings that came in. So I was an affiliate on Virtual Summit Mastery, and Naveed just did a course launch, and I got a bit of earnings from that, which was nice supplement.
Yeah.
But things are definitely getting tighter.
Yeah.
And we're constantly having those conversations around, can we keep going with this? Or, when's the next time I'm going to make a substantial amount of money so that I can coast again until the next launch? Or is there a way that I can create residual income, which I launched my Evergreen Summit. So the Eat Your Dirt Summit that I did in Q1, I launched it as an evergreen product, and it's been out there for about a month. And so in terms of Q2, it only made me $200, but in terms of the 1 month so far, it's made me $500. So that's, as long as I start driving more traffic to that, it could be something that helps sustain us.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story with us. And what I'm realizing from this giant TV show experiment type thing is I think that having the public accountability and the, the show, I think, made people want to set more ambitious, exciting goals, which makes sense because you're going to be journaling. I think a lot more people are actually not achieving their goal than achieving their goal as a result of that. So, well, yeah, so you're not alone for one thing. And then the other thing is that I think all of us as people who have a lot of ideas and a lot of energy and we're passionate about a topic, tend to set goals that might be a little unrealistic.
I felt confident going into it, and I don't know that it was necessarily because I was on the show, but because I was really hoping that because the first launch went so well, I could 2x that. Mm-hmm. And that's, dreams of grandeur. When it's the first launch, you don't have testimonials per se and proof that the product works. So lessons learned. And, I'm really happy that it's a small group of people because I can tweak it and make it 10 times better the next round and maybe charge more.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you putting your hustle on the interwebs for everyone to see. And hopefully I'll be in touch again with you soon to see how things are going.
Awesome. Kelsey, thank you so much for this opportunity. This has been amazing.
Tune in next week as we follow health coach Amy Latta launch her podcast on the pursuit in the trenches.